Hello guys, welcome to Visordown. My name is Alex and I've been treated to an absolute beautiful day out in the North Wessex Downs near Newbury to ride these, the Norton Commando 961, and it's the Sport and the Cafe Racer editions. They're hand built, handcrafted in England in the Solihull factory, and Norton, I'll cut to the chase, has done an incredible job building a bike that's not only stylish, elegant, beautiful, but it's also an absolute machine on the road. Great fun to ride, but before I get too far into it, let's cut to a few shots of me trying to look cool, and then we'll continue on. So, first of all, what is the Norton Commando 961? First of all, really, there's two different variants. On my left, on the right of the screen, is the CR, which is the Cafe Racer edition, and on my right, your left, is the Sport. The main difference between the two, of course, you might have guessed it, is the clip-on bars for the Cafe Racer and a little bit more relaxed position for the Sport. Both have the exact same internals in terms of the engine, the motor, and the same characteristics on the road. Of course, the Cafe Racer, you're far more racer position. It's quite aggressive in terms of its stance. And the Sport is a little bit more laid back. It's quite a nice little town cruiser. And I'll just go right off the bat. The thing that really impressed me on these bikes is the sound that they make. It's absolutely divine. The exhaust comes through there, all handcrafted, all hand welded, and the bike itself comes out of the Solihull factory as a hand-built beauty. Both of these have a 961cc motor, parallel twin, and is canted forward by about 7 degrees. In terms of brake horsepower and newton meters of torque, you've got around 77, just under 76.8 brake horsepower, and you've got around about 81 newton meters of torque. Of course, we've not been on a rolling road, so we can't categorically say that's true, but it does feel like that on the road. You twist on the power and the engine comes into life. You've got 5-speed gearbox and it's absolutely beautiful, I've got to say. Click down a gear, open it up, and I was away with the fairies, honestly. So I've talked about the engine there. Of course, as I say, you roll on the power, not quite thunderous delivery of power because it's not quite the speed, it's more about the elegance and the style, and these have those in bucket loads. As I say, with the CR, this one's priced at £16,999, and the Sport Edition, which I sort of prefer, don't tell the Cafe Racer, is around £16,499. It'll be available in UK dealerships and the UK market in around Q1 of 2023. I'd estimate January, February, and from there you can bag yourself one of these in the black or the Manx silver. In my personal opinion, if you wanted that, I prefer the silver. I think it looks absolutely stunning, but the black is timeless with the gold pinstriping. It's all hand painted, it's beautiful. So in terms of rideability of these, I had a great time. I've just been riding recently, that you'll see a review on Visordown very shortly, the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Of course, the Norton did it first, did it brilliantly. I mean, Royal Enfield's been around for a long time, but 125 years in 2023 for the Norton brand, and you can tell that they've been doing this for a long time. I'd say that the Royal Enfield is the sort of looking up to the Norton brand and the Commando and thinking this is what we want to be. And the Norton now, as the 2023 model, is the sort of finished article and the finished product. As I say, it's all hand-styled, handcrafted, hand-built in the Solihull factory in Birmingham, and yeah, it's sublime. In terms of spec, let's run through this real quick. So you've got up front Brembo brakes with the radially mounted calipers. You've got master cylinder, of course, and I believe it's around 320mm as the brake disc size. At the rear, slightly smaller, one caliper, of course. You've got Öhlins suspension, so up front you've got Öhlins forks, fully adjustable, and at the rear you've got twin shocks, which again, fully adjustable. You can adjust them for rebound, compression, damping. Superb. In terms of how they feel on the road, I was giving them a good bounce and just trying to go over some of the sort of rougher roads that we have plenty of in the UK. And in all honesty, it soaked it up brilliantly. Mid-corner, it feels really nice and planted, and I felt especially on the Cafe Racer, you could get it into your lean, into your corner, and you're sat in a really nice position to just effortlessly glide through. It's 5 gears, of course, and if you're in 5th gear, cruising at around, I don't know, 70 miles per hour, revs per minute around about 4,000, 5,000 roughly. So you can easily cruise, and it's not a vibration heavy machine. You can allegedly take it up to 100 miles per hour in that gear, and it's absolutely fine. It's screaming away and it sounds beautiful, but you can do that as well. So as a real quick recap then of the rideability, it's got a 15-litre tank. I'd imagine you can get around 120 miles range, but as a first ride review, it's always difficult to tell the sort of real world running of that. You've got an 810mm seat, which is fairly comfortable. I don't think this is a bike you're going to be taking on a long distance tour. It's more of a turn up at a cafe, turn up at your Sunday meet and impress everyone with the styling and then enjoy the ride, because the ride itself is incredible. I will just also say on the seat, the Norton stitching looks superb. The stitching, the styling, the way that Norton brand is there, it's incredible. Of course, hand painted, hand finished. I've said that a couple of times, but it's just something that really adds that additional little bit of flair to a product that is already luxury. Of course, the pricing does reflect that, but if you're looking at a Norton product, you know that you're going to be paying a little bit extra for that sort of bragging factor at the pub, really. You've also got a dual analog dash. You've got your time on there. There's no gear indicator, there's a neutral indicator, a flashing indicator light, stuff like that. But again, it's stuff that you would expect on a sort of characteristic bike like this. I haven't been riding it at night, so I can't talk about the lights. And in terms of the sort of comfort of the bike, I'd say it's very nice. The Cafe Racer, I did start to get a little bit uncomfortable, but that's because I'm 6'3". The slender frame in the middle and the sort of indents for your knees, I was a slight little bit too big for, but I made it work, it was comfortable and I was happy. I will just throw out there as well, I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again, the exhaust note on this, outrageous. It's an SVA approved bike for the UK, so therefore they can get away with a higher decibel limit, I believe. They're going to be looking at homologation for the EU markets and the American markets in the future, and that means that the decibel limits might be lower, but as this one I've ridden today, and this one I've ridden today, they sound absolutely superb. There's a few sticking points. The actual stand, the side stand, is tucked away right underneath the bike. So when you park up, you need to sort of hook your foot underneath to find it and flick it out. And you can start the bike and ride away almost with it down. So you have to keep an eye out for that. Also, when you start the bike up, you have to give it a little bit of throttle. I mean, the push rods in there are trying their best, but you have to give it a little bit of throttle to kick it into life. Once it does start up, you're away. But there's been a few times where I started it up and it was trying to turn over, even after riding for around 40 miles or so. The turning circle as well is a little bit restrictive. When you're moving it around by foot, weighs around 230 kilograms. And on the road, absolutely fine. It's a moving piece of work, so it's beautiful. But when you're moving it around by hand, you've got to be quite aware of the fact that it's not going to turn in as sharply as you may like, and it's 230 kilograms. Very balanced, but yeah, just be aware of that. So that's been my ramblings on the Norton Commando 961 range for 2023. To sum it up, this is a luxury motorcycle, I've got to say, and it handles beautifully, it sounds incredible, and the bike itself is a hand-built wonder. There's a few sticking points, mainly for me the price. I'd love to buy one, but I don't think I'd ever be able to afford it, not at the moment anyway. And of course little things like the side stand and the turning circle, really here and there. It's just not going to be something that's going to stop you from jumping on one of these and absolutely having the time of your life. The road's been stunning, the bike's been stunning, and the sun is out. Incredible. I couldn't have asked for any more for a day. If you want the full written review, jump over to visordown.com. I want to know in the comments down below whether you'd go for the Cafe Racer or the Sport Edition. I'm in Team Sport. I think it's brilliant in terms of the handling and comfort, as well as then the style of the bike itself. That's right there for me. Leave a like in the box down below as well. Subscribe to Visordown if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. But thank you very much for watching. I'll say ciao, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.